This is Group 5, Episode 4. We're talking about learning disabilities today.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
No, you're the host.
You're the host, yeah.
Well, you welcome to me.
I'm just welcome to be here.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm happy
okay.
to be here. Pleasure to be here with you today.
So,
Thank you, Sonia.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, so great to have you guys.
Yeah.
So Tyler, you interviewed...
Joey McCoy.
Mm-hmm.
He happens to be my brother, but
Okay.
he grew up with learning disabilities. So when he was in second grade, he was diagnosed with ADHD.
Okay.
He went to Robert Gray Middle School because they had classes for him that would help him with different learning styles.
And this is an alternative middle school?
This is a general education
okay,
middle school
okay.
with an alternative education program.
Okay, gotcha.
And then when he went on to high school, he went to Thomas Edison High School, which is a specialized high school in the city of Portland, right next to Jesuit High School.
Okay.
It's a private school specifically for kids with learning disabilities.
Okay.
When he was a junior in high school, he was looking into going to college, and one of the things that the colleges wanted was a reviewed IEP plan, which just shows what your learning disability is. So he went in for re-diagnosis, and they actually diagnosed him with dyslexia,
Okay.
which is something that he had been actually struggling with since second grade or before. It was just undiagnosed.
Okay.
So it was fortunate for him to go to this high school. They have classes of 9 to 10 kids. All of the teachers are specially trained for learning disabilities, ADHD, dyslexia, the number lexia that I don't know the name of.
I think it's dysnomia, maybe?
Dysnomia.
I'm not exactly sure.
We talked about a variety of subjects. Below this video, we'll have a transcription. Unfortunately, there's no audio to my interview. But some of the things we talked about were, one of the questions I asked was, does having dyslexia prevent you from doing jobs? And he pretty much said no. It doesn't prevent him, but it definitely drives him away from doing certain jobs just because he's not going to be as good at them as other people.
Yeah, if there's reading involved, it's already a struggle.
The most interesting thing that he went into is that he found that the easiest way for him to learn and for him to read, because we were talking about how when I'm tired and I read a paragraph of a book, I can read the entire paragraph and then not remember what I just read. I mean, we all do it.
All the time.
And he pretty much described that that's just life for him.
That's crazy.
And reading it, you just kind of forget what you're reading as you're reading. You can't pay attention long enough. And what has helped him is one of the classes that they make you go through for all 4 years at Thomas Edison is Latin roots. And so you learn the root of the words that you're reading, and it has made him understand what he's reading, which has helped him pay attention and understand the words in the text instead of the text itself, if that makes sense.
So is that like bringing it down to like what is it called, like sight reading the words more
Kind
than
of,
like
yeah.
having to sound out the syllables?
Right.
when we
Instead of
normally
knowing the
do?
definition of a specific word, you
Okay.
can break it down to Latin roots
Oh,
and
that's
understand
kinda
what where the word came from, why it exists. It made things interesting enough for him to pay attention and focus enough.
Well,
So he did
That's
graduate
pretty
with
cool.
his high school diploma. He went up to British Columbia Technical Institute and got his diesel mechanic license, and
Nice.
that's what he does. He lives in Alaska.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and he does diesel mechanics.
And so beyond dyslexia, does he have anything else? Or
He does actually have ADHD.
Okay, you said that in the beginning.
Yeah, and he has dyslexia. He doesn't believe that he suffers. I asked him about the
dysnomia. I
dysnomia,
think that's what it's called.
and he doesn't think that he suffers from that.
So it's weird that he would be that way with letters but not numbers.
But not
I would think
numbers.
it'd kind of go together.
Yeah, it did not this time.
Yeah.
So he thinks that, I asked him if he thinks that it's been a disability or, an advantage for him actually having to work harder. He's pretty much just said that he thinks it's been an advantage because he's had to work so hard for the things that he has, that when something that's not that hard comes along, he does it pretty easily.
Makes sense, yeah, because he's used to struggling to get stuff done, and then when you don't have
Right.
to do that, it's like, oh, this is a breeze.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I wouldn't think
So-
about that. I never would have thought about that as an advantage until you bring that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he suggests, I think we've talked about this in a couple other podcasts, that what really got him through high school and what has really helped him calm down, because one of the biggest symptoms of dyslexia is anxiety due to it, especially undiagnosed dyslexia, because you know there's something wrong. You just can't figure out what it is.
Yeah.
His marijuana use, he is very much convinced. It's actually very common for people with dyslexia to use marijuana to help them just relax. And
Does that help with the dyslexia, or does that just help with the calm you down?
he says it helps him focus on
Okay.
the words, so he's not just
Yeah.
trying to read through it. I think it probably
Well,
helps more with the ADHD than it does the dyslexia, but by
Yeah.
dealing with the ADHD, it makes the dyslexia not as
Makes sense, yeah.
And
focused.
I think the anxiety makes the other things worse.
Oh,
too,
for
right?
sure,
Kinda
yeah.
a snowball. So
Right.
calming down and just being like, nope, it's okay. I'm not gonna. This
Right.
isn't gonna ruin me when I can't read this right now.
Mhm.
Because then you
You're able
try
to
too
actually
hard
do
to read it, and then you,
Yeah,
I would
and-
assume, I guess I've never had it, but like when it comes to other stuff, you start to struggle to work on it, you try to make it, you try not to mess up, and then obviously
And
you
then
mess
you
up.
freak out
Right.
more, and you mess up more,
Yeah.
and you freak out more.
That happened literally today. I was trying to get out of the house, and I had to do this like background check information. Literally had to put like my name, my address, and my social security number. Like it was like 5 minutes of writing, and I messed up like 4 times, and I had to keep reprinting. Like, and the more I messed up, the
Yeah,
harder it got. And
the
obviously, it's a
worse.
little
You're
off
like,
topic, but
Yeah.
it's the same idea. Where like,
Yeah,
if you have that anxiety or stress, like I need to get out of the house, I don't have time for this. You rush, it gets worse. And it's like I just wrote my ID number on my name. It's just like
It's frustrating
yeah.
for sure.
I got up and changed my clothes because I was wearing not this, and I was like, okay, that calmed me down. Like I had to get up and do something else.
yeah,
like
yeah. Like switching tasks.
yeah, just like coming back. Even though it was like 3 minutes, I just changed into jeans, but like having that little bit of time calmed me down. So
One of the other things we discussed was types of learning. So obviously there's 3 types of learning that we know about: tactile, there's auditory, and there's visual. And it's widely thought, and he was agreeable, that tactile learning for people with dyslexia
what is tactile again?
is hands-on.
Okay.
That's like the bodily kinesthetic. Is that
Right, it's
correct?
kinesthetic learning. So you're hands-on, you are, instead of researching how to talk to people or listening to a teacher about how to talk to people, you actually do
Go
the
and
act
do
of
it,
talking. And he has found that's one of the reasons why he does diesel mechanics, is because it's majority hands-on. It's more of, instead of reading a book on how to figure out how to take apart an engine, you can just take apart an engine and figure out how to put it
Interesting.
back together. And he's always been like that. People with dyslexia usually are. They can be more observant to their surroundings.
Yeah.
They can not make assumptions, but things come more naturally, I would say.
Okay.
Common sense is a little more common for them because they have to use common sense.
I almost wonder if there's a part of the brain that's kind of like switched. So like, they have more of this, but their reading abilities less. Like how people evolve and
Right.
change, like that.
Yeah.
There are some mechanics, right, that just read the book. They're reading the manual on how to fix a car, and there are some that are just like, oh, the carburetor needs to be replaced. Let's take off the
figure it
bolts.
out.
Let's figure it out as we go.
Open it up.
And I would say that people with dyslexia are more of that kind.
Okay.
Where they're just like,
Makes sense,
let's figure
yeah.
it out as we go. I
You
know
kind
I
of
can-
have to.
Right.
You can.
But I think in the long run, it helps them understand how things work better.
Yeah.
Because you're getting a first-hand account, not a retelling of how to do it.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a very interesting conversation. There's a lot of good insight. And it is definitely a wider-based issue than I was expecting when I went into the interview. His girlfriend also suffers from dyslexia. She also graduated from Thomas Edison. She ended up going to the University of Oregon, and they were very helpful and understanding through their 504 plan,
Okay.
and they were more than willing to help her with, note-taking and stuff like that, getting the instructional help that she needed.
Okay.
So it's becoming more widely known and more understood. As
And supported
Supported.
instead of just
Right.
Okay, you have a problem.
You don't
and-
get to go to college.
Sorry. Yeah.
yeah.
How are people with dyslexia at writing? Is it just as bad as they're with reading, or is it different? Because
They can write okay. It can be hard for them to string along like pages of work because you start forgetting what you're doing at the beginning, what you're talking about. You'll lose track, or just like most people do sometimes.
Yeah.
It happens to them all the time.
It makes
So,
sense, yeah.
you know, you're writing a 5-page paper. Once you get to page 4, it's hard because it's hard to reread the 4 pages that you've already written.
Oh, yeah.
But sometimes you can't remember those 4 pages that you've already written.
It'd be like if you wrote it and then came back a couple days later and had
Right.
to finish.
So majority of people with dyslexia write their papers all at one time.
Makes sense, yeah.
And it's just a string. And then they'll have somebody else edit it for them so they don't have to do the reading. And
Has he ever tried like a speech to text? I don't know how old he is. I don't know if they had that when he was in school, but
28 years old.
Was that a thing when he? Well, I'm 28. I don't think that was a thing when I was.
It wasn't
like,
as much as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Speech to text is still, you know, evolving.
Mm-hmm.
Now that he's out of school, he doesn't need it very much. Most of what he does is alone and working. He does boat mechanics, so he works on boats and.
Yeah, but maybe kids in high school now that
Right,
have that
absolutely
available to them, that might help.
Especially in districts now, most districts are doing a 1-to-1 devices, so each kid will have a Chromebook.
That's cool.
They can use the Google Assistant to help them.
Yeah.
The Hey Google Assistant for speech to text, and Hey Google seems to be very good at transcribing and getting the
mine does about 50-50 at my
50-50.
house.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, well, this has been podcast number 4. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Sonia, host, for having
yeah,
us.
so
Thank
great.
you. Thank you so
It's been
much
great
for
to be here.
coming.
Yeah.
This is Channel 5.
It's
5
group 5.
at 5 o'clock. Good
Is
to
it
see
5
you.
o'clock?
It is 5:37 right now.
5:37.
Oh, shit. I want to go home.
Pizza.
I had pizza for lunch. I hate pizza. And I was like,
Okay, we'll have to cut this part out.
all right. So,
You guys both just stared at me.
Did you make yourself a little veggie and protein? Act like my notes are on here and try to think of them as we go. Okay.
Let's get that chest hair out.
They have a transition program now that
hold on.
I'm trying to be professional, but I just feel
That was
so
the
awkward.
least professional thing you could have done.
I'm sorry. I'm blushing. You smell like a pool. In a good way.
And I'm not allowed to wear a hat.